Welcome to this series of Holy Week monologues. Each day what we're going to do is look at a passage from the Bible and then listen to a short monologue loosely based around the reading that we've just heard. I've written these to try and make us think about the emotions that Jesus instilled in the religious community and especially in the temple-based leaders of that community. The idea behind these is to put aside the judgment and to recognise that none of us like change. That we would all like the things to remain comfortable and not be required to leave the safety of the church lifestyle that we've become accustomed to. As you listen to the monologue, I invite you to place yourself into the voice that you hear, to listen to your emotions and to see what you feel about each of the responses. Monday through to Thursday are kind of monologues from a young priest who's recently been called to work in the temple. And they all focus around the idea that the temple was a place that maintained order, stopping chaos from being unleashed into the world. Friday is a poem that I've written called Darkness and the Veil. And Saturday is a eulogy for the funeral of Jesus. I hope that these series will cause you to think about your faith and to reflect on where we are as a church community. I'd love to hear your comments, so feel free to comment on anything that you hear or any thoughts that you have. Take care. The soldiers assigned to the governor took Jesus into the governor's palace and got the entire brigade together for some fun. They stripped him, dressed him in a red toga. They plaited a crown from thorns and set it on his head. They put a stick in his right hand for a scepter, and they knelt before him in mocking reverence. "Bravo, King of the Jews," they said. "Bravo." Then they spat on him and hit him on the head with a stick. When they had had their fun, they took off the toga and put his own clothes back on him. Then they proceeded out to the crucifixion. Along the way, they came across a man from Cyrene named Simon and made him carry Jesus' cross. Arriving at Golgotha, the place they called Skull Hill, they offered him a mild painkiller, a mixture of wine and myrrh, but when he tasted it, he wouldn't drink it. After they'd finished nailing him to the cross, and while waiting for him to die, they whiled away the time by throwing dice for his clothes. Above his head they had posted the criminal charge against him. "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Along with him they also crucified two criminals, one to his right, the other to his left. People passing along the road jeered, shaking their heads in mock lament. "You bragged that you could tear down the temple and then rebuild it in 3 days, so show us your stuff. Save yourself if you're really God's son. Come down from that cross." The high priests, along with the religion scholars and leaders, were right there mixing it up with the rest of them, having a great time poking fun at him. He saved others, but he can't save himself. King of Israel is he? Then let him get down from that cross. We'll all become believers then. He was so sure of God, well, let him rescue his son now, if he wants him. He did claim to be God's son, didn't he? Even the two criminals next to him joined in the mockery. From noon to 3, the whole earth was dark. Around mid-afternoon, Jesus groaned out of the depths, crying loudly, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you abandoned me?" Some bystanders who heard him said, "He's calling for Elijah." One of them ran and got a sponge soaked in sour wine and lifted it on a stick so he could drink. The others joked, "Don't be in such a hurry. Let's see if Elijah comes and saves him." But Jesus again, crying out loudly, breathed his last. At that moment, the temple curtain was ripped in two, top to bottom. There was an earthquake and rocks were split in pieces. What's more, tombs were opened and many bodies of believers asleep in their graves were raised. The captain of the guard and those with him, when they saw the earthquake and everything else that was happening, were scared to death. They said, "This has to be the Son of God." There were also quite a few women watching from a distance, women who had followed Jesus from Galilee in order to serve him. Among them was Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the Zebedee brothers. Late in the afternoon, a wealthy man from Arimathea, a disciple of Jesus, arrived. His name was Joseph. He went to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Pilate granted his request. Joseph took the body and wrapped it in clean linens, put it in his own tomb, a new tomb only recently cut into the rock, and rolled a large stone across the entrance. Then he went off. But Mary Magdalene and the other Mary stayed sitting in plain view of the tomb, the darkness and the veil. How do we see in a world that is dark, filled with the pain of 1,000,000 desperate souls? Souls which yearn to belong, yearn to feel the warmth of human affection, love. Each day we strive for resurrection, strive to see the possibilities in the futility of our existence, strive to hear that voice which reverberates to the sound of creation and offers us hope. A man walks through the streets, dragging behind the wooden crosspiece of an apparatus of capital punishment. Punishment that is meted out on those who dare to challenge the rule of law, the authority of an occupying force. This treatment is reserved for a select few. Never a citizen of the fatherland, only the infidel, the revolutionary, or the one who dares to challenge the accepted norms of a society ruled from afar. And so he comes, flesh torn by the cruel barbs of bone on whip, paths of dried caked blood like rivulets from sharp thorns tracing a path over a furrowed and pain-ravaged brow. A map of love imprinted on tarnished olive skin. The darkness, even in the brightest of days, even when the sun beats upon one's exposed skin, warming to the touch and burning our shadows deep into the sand, reminding us that even in sunlight there lies the darkness of the human soul. Stumbling now, he feels the weight of the world upon his back. The splinters dig into broad shoulders, wood that would be worked by this one what seems a lifetime ago, get revenge on the flesh that tore at it with chisel and saw. The nails that once built up mighty structures are soon to pierce the wrists of the Creator. They lay him down. Silence descends, and as it does, he is hoisted, lifted high for all to see that insubordination has consequences. No man is higher than Rome. There is but one king, Caesar. We all know darkness, but not like this. Don't end it here. I long to feel the warmth once more. This dark dog haunts me, snaps at my heels and drags me under. You promised more, promised love, hope, a faith that will move mountains. Well, move this one, tear it down. This torture must stop. Take the wine, feel the release. Remember that talk of salvation, of kingdoms built on the rocks of pagan temples? Take me back there, when the world was fresh and exciting, anywhere but here, where the darkness overwhelms and day becomes night. The sky dims, the sun is blackened within, and with each breath I feel it. Ruach Elohim, just keep breathing it in and out, that's right. Feel the power of the Almighty. This too will pass. But no, the breath goes dim also, and this day turns to night. It is completed. and the veil tears from the top.